How's everybody doing?
Good.
We're good? All right, everyone stand up real quick and shake it off or anything? No? Just me? All right, fantastic. Well, I want this to be super practical for you. I was sitting in your seat, not literally in this room, but just a few years ago, 4 years ago, right? This was my dream to open an assisted living, and I had zero experience in it back then, had no idea what to do, and was very intimidated, very scared, and was able to do my first deal, which I'll tell you about, raise all the money to do it. And I kind of want to just show you my process. Here's the step-by-step practical so that I can have a takeaway. Hey, this is how I can do it. It's not scary. It's not intimidating. It is a lot of work. It is a hustle, but it can be done. So we'll kind of break this down here today. Which way do I point this thing?
Down. You just
Down at the ground?
No.
Down arrow.
Yeah, use the arrow.
Down arrow. Thank you. Not at the ground. All right, fantastic. So a bit about me. I own Platinum Resort Assisted Living and Memory Care. We are in Georgetown, Texas. We run a small type B. We're a 16-bed. And you can see here on the left, this is my first assisted living that I did. About 2018, I bought a house and did a big addition to it. This is a 15-bedroom house now that is our first assisted living. I raised $1.1 million to do that deal, and I'll show you how I did that. What we're doing now on the, is it right for you two? It is right. On the right, this is our project that we're doing this year. So we are building our own little neighborhood of assisted living mansions. And I call them mansions. They're about 10,000 square feet each, 16 bedrooms, 17 bath, custom design, kind of like a boutique hotel. So where you get all the care and amenities of a big facility in like this custom boutique hotel. So we're building this neighborhood of 4 of them. They're about $9 million for the whole project. It's going to be about $2.3 million per building. So I'll tell you about raising money for that as well. Okay, so here's what we're going to go through in the next few minutes. Here's our structure that we're going to talk through. This is kind of my process. How to get your investor meeting. How do you actually sit down with someone and say, here's my heart, here's my vision, here's my dream, this is what I want to do. How do you actually get to that first part? Okay, and to get there, you're going to need 2 tools. We'll talk about that. Okay, then I'll share my 3-phase investor presentation. I kind of break things up simply, and I do phase 1, 2, 3. We'll talk about that. We'll go through deal structure examples so that you can have some idea of like, if I'm sitting with somebody and saying like, I want to work with you, how do you actually work with them? What does it look like? And then I'll talk about how we make our offer and how I've made my offer before. All right, so let's dig into it. The first things first, right? How do you actually set up a meeting with someone? How do you get someone's attention? How do you tell them about what you want to do here? So you tell your story. Right now, you are already in your journey, right? You have made a commitment, you have a dream, you want to open your own assisted living. Now, you've started, right? You've taken some type of action, you paid money, you're here today. This is part of your story. Your story is going to go for the next several years, right? It may take you a year to open this assisted living. And during that whole thing, you're on your journey. So be telling your story the whole time, because the people who are going to work with you, partner with you, invest in you are the people who already know, like, and trust you, or they're one person removed from that. So you don't have to be somebody different. You don't have to be an expert. You don't have to be like John and up here and memorizing all of this stuff, right? I didn't know any of that stuff. I was by far not an expert, but I shared my heart. Right, I shared my story, how I had to place my grandma and all the options were terrible. And I'm on Facebook, right? I'm telling people, here's my story. Here's what I want to do. Here's my heart. Here's my vision, right? So you are here today as part of your story. So you can actually start right now. When you're here today, you should post, hey, I'm here at Torches Boot Camp. I'm learning. Did you happen to know that it is my dream to start an assisted living? Just start talking to people, because you will be surprised how many people reach out to you. And they say, oh, well, I didn't know that. It's always been my vision or my dream, or my mom used to work in assisted living, and I know how bad that can be, right? Like, you want to do something special, you want to change it. So you want to be like the underdog in this story, right? You are not the expert yet, and you're like Frodo Baggins here, right? Like, he has all these like wizards and like axe warriors and elves that are going on this journey, but he is the main character. He's the one taking this ring, right? He's the one charged with this journey, and he's like the most unlikely candidate to do it. So that may be you. And I say this analogy because I was not the expert, right? And it didn't stop me from getting the deal done. So don't let not knowing everything stop you from getting the deal done. Don't let that I don't know how to structure a deal yet go and stop me from talking to people. right? You're gonna figure it along the way, but right now you are in the beginning of your journey. So just start sharing what you know. I know that, this is what I want to do. And maybe tomorrow you're gonna go look at an assisted living and you're gonna do a tour, you're gonna do secret shopping, post there, hey, I'm at this place, I really like this about it, but man, when I build mine, I will never do this, right? I'll never have the shared rooms, I'll never have this smelly bed, couch, or whatever it is, right? Just start sharing part of your journey. So start today and don't be scared to actually get out there and start talking to people, because you don't need to be an expert, you don't need to know everything, you just need to take a lot of action. So this is what I use in order to get my meeting. So we're talking about 2 tools that I use when I'm going to my meeting, all right? I'm doing homework. I want to have these 2 tools and I want to have some education done prior to my meeting. So let's talk about these 2 tools. I have mine here. They are my business plan and my financial performance. I think these are vastly, vastly important. This, when I did my first deal, I was so nervous. I was scared. I didn't know much about assisted living at that point. I've never operated. I thought they're gonna ask me all these questions I wouldn't know the answers to. This was my foundation. This was my safety net. So I use these 2 things to kind of structure my talk, and we'll talk about that in detail here in a few minutes. But as I am making my presentation, I want to be aware, in my opinion, there's 2 things that every investor wants. Okay, if someone's gonna invest in you, they wanna know these 2 things. Number 1, is their money safe? Is my money safe if I give it to you? Am I gonna get it back? How safe is it, right? Because I can just put it in the stock market, right? I can put it in crypto, but we know that's not safe. So how can you prove to me that my money will be safe? That's number 1. Number 2, will I get a great return? What's my ROI? Am I gonna get good money out of this deal? So I want to set up my presentation with these 2 things in mind. And I use both of these tools, my business plan to show them that their money's safe, and my financials to show them that I have a great deal, it's gonna make great money. I'm not talking about what they're gonna get out of it yet, but my deal makes great money, right? So there's the possibility of us working together in this. So I want to use these 2 tools, and I like to keep them separate. You can see mine here. I make them separate, and I go in and get them printed on like some cardstock, glossy, binder, and this, I do this intentionally because this, my business plan is really not going to change too much. Thank you. Can you help me out real quick? Oh, I'm back to my slide. My business plan is not going to change too much, but my numbers, this will change and evolve. As I'm going through my journey, I'm going to determine a piece of property that I'm going to get, and I can plug in my numbers there. I can talk to contractors. That's going to change and evolve, and it's going to grow, and I can dial these things in. So I want to make these 2 things separate from each other. Thank you. All right, point down to the ground. Got it. All right, so next, I have my presentation, and I have my tools, so I'm getting ready to do my 3-phase presentation here. So here are the 3 things that I'm going to talk about, and this is my overview slide, then I'll break it down a little bit, right? I'm going to have first my 30-second elevator pitch. The whole point of this elevator pitch is to talk to everybody that I come in contact with. My kids' school, people there, people at work, people at the gym, people at church. I am directing a conversation towards this elevator pitch because I'm trying to put out hooks. I'm trying to gather attention so that I can set up the next phase. I can set up my meeting to give my presentation. So that's my first. My second is my business plan overview, where I'm going through the business plan and I'm having the underlying theme that your money is safe because of this deal. The third part we're going to talk about is the financials during this presentation, and I'm going to overview the financials, and I'm going to share with them, this is a winning deal. This is a home run. We're not going to talk about how you're a part of it yet, but you can be part of this home run deal. So let's break this down a smidge more. Phase 1, the elevator pitch. Okay, like I said, the goal of this is to actually get a meeting, to get somebody to sit down with you and actually hear your heart, your vision, your goal, what you want to do. So for me, I like to do it very low pressure. I'm not a salesy kind of guy. I find that what I like to do is not ask for money. When we're talking, I'll give my elevator pitch and I'll finish with like, I won't say, let me say this. I won't say, hey, do you have money you want to invest with me? Or do you want to work with me? Or do you want to partner with me? I will not say that. What I will say is, do you know anyone who'd be interested in something like this? Do you know anyone who has similar goals? Right? Do you know anyone? Now, I'm specifically asking them, and I'm intentionally asking them because I think they're who I want to ask, but I'm not going to ask them. I'm going to go around the conversation here and say, do you know anybody who would, and we're hoping that they're like, well, yeah, I would be interested in that. Like, can you talk to me about this? This is my goal, right? So I'm trying to tell everyone, I want to arrange the conversations everywhere in day-to-day life, everywhere I go towards this elevator pitch, right? I want to, maybe right now we're in January, maybe we're sitting around the work coffee station and we're saying, hey, you know, I might say, well, it's January, I made these new goals. You know, my goals are for this year, I'm gonna open an assisted living. And they're like, what? I didn't know you want to open assisted living. And be like, yeah, here's my elevator pitch. I'm going to give it right then. And I'm trying to set up the thing, trying to set up my presentation date. So you work this into everything you do. You post it on your social. It's part of your journey. You're trying to put out hooks out there so that you can bring people in. They're interested. You're selling your heart, your passion, that you can make good money in this, that there's a problem in the industry, and you have a solution. Okay, so let me give you an example of my pitch. My pitch goes something like this. Hey, so what I do is I build assisted living mansions. And these are these 10,000 square foot, 16 bedroom, custom designed homes. And I'm actually building a neighborhood of them where I'll have 4 of them. And so what I like to do is we provide all the care, amenities, and services that you can get at one of those big smelly facilities, but we do it in this like custom designed mansion style of a home. And I'm building 4 of them actually this year in Georgetown. And I am raising some money. Do you know anyone who'd be interested in working with me? That's pretty much an elevator pitch. And I say that all the time. I'll say it on social, I'll say it everywhere, because I'm trying to get people to comment, to reach out. It's either someone that already knows me, or it's one person removed who's gonna reach out. And you will be so surprised how many people know that assisted living is a problem. And if you tell me you have a solution for it, they're interested in hearing what your solution is. So that is my phase 1, okay? I am trying to get people's attention so I can move them to phase 2. So let's talk about phase 2. Phase 2, like I said, I like to do this in person. I like to do it over coffee. You don't have to, I've done it over Zoom also, but I like it in person. And the first time that I did this, I was so nervous. Again, like I said, no experience in assisted living. I was so uncomfortable, but what I did that I really liked, I did my homework, I invested time, money, and did this fantastic business plan. And I used this as my roadmap. And I was so like uncomfortable, and I was like stumbling through the presentation. But what I did was I put like little tabs on my business plan here. And so I use this as my roadmap. So I'd be like, I don't know what to say next. Okay, next tab. Oh, baby boomers. Okay, let's talk about baby boomers, right? What do I say next? I'm not sure. Oh, okay, the market research in my city, Georgetown, right? What does that look like? So I built out this business plan and I use it as my roadmap. Now, moreover, I talked about the 2 things that investors want. They want to know their money is safe. So I use this to show them that their money is safe. Now, I will never say your money is safe. I'm always implying your money is safe. So as I'm going through this business plan, it takes me maybe 7-10 minutes to talk through it, pull out little bits and pieces of it. I'm going to be talking about, okay, hey, you know the baby boomers are here. There's like 10,000 of them a day turning 65. And I'm implying, so your money is going to be safe. And I did my market research on my city, and I know how many people are in retirement age, how many people need memory care, and there's not enough housing. Implied, your money is safe. We're doing this niche, right? I have all the amenities, the healthcare, the nurse, the chef, the salon, private rooms, that you get in one of those big 100-bed smelly facilities in this custom house. Implied, your money is safe, right? I'm going through this, painting this picture of, I have this amazing deal. I haven't got through the numbers yet, amazing deal. And if you want to work with me, your money's going to be safe. So I think it's super important to get these tools together. So as I'm wrapping up this part of my presentation, I like to be very low pressure. I'm not a salesy kind of guy. So what I'll do is I'll ask permission to move on to the next phase. And I'll say, wait, what do you think? Like, is this something you're interested in? Do you want me to tell you more? You want me to show you about the numbers? And again, I'm giving you an opportunity to say yes or no, or this sucks, or I really love this, Brett, tell me about it. So I'm asking permission to move it to the next phase. So the next phase, phase 3, okay? I'm going to walk through my financials. The objective for my financials is to show them that this is a home run, that this makes great money. I'm not going to tell them exactly yet how they can be part of it and how that we're going to divvy this up. But I want to imply that this is a huge deal. I make a ton of money from this deal. Their money is safe, number 1, and we have a great return. And you can be part of that in some kind of way. So as I'm going through this, I'm going to be talking through the financials. Here's some of the overview things that I want to hit. I want to know how much money do I need to raise. Now, Shep was up here. You can do a bank loan with this, right? The money you need after that, I refer to that term as the gap. So I'll talk about this a little bit more. But how much money I need, and I'm going to say, hey, I'm looking at raising 80% from the bank or 90% from the bank. I know I'm going to need this other money, which is the gap money. I'm trying to raise this much money, or I will talk about, what's my timetable till I'm stabilized. I think I can buy the land, build the building, do the rehab, get my license, and in this much time. I want to talk about those kind of things. And I anticipate being stabilized. Maybe we'll refinance it in this much time, and you should have your money back by this much time. People want to know their money's safe and when they're getting their money back, right? Then I'm going to talk through the net profit after I'm stabilized. So I'm going to break down all month by month by month until I know that I'm full. And I'm going to say, okay, look, here's we're stabilized. We are full. We have full staff. We have a full manager. We have our chef. We got everything going. And I'm looking to make this, right? For us, I'm here in Texas. I have a small 16 type B. We run a high-end luxury style home. It is very easy to make $40,000, $50,000 net each month on these type of deals. I do not like the little 6 beds. They don't think they work. I'm not that guy. So I'm going to run through what that looks like. And then I'm going to run through worst case scenario. If your worst case scenario, so you're investing with me and things go bad, COVID comes back, who knows what's going to happen? I need to have this many beds full. And I'll maybe say it this way. I only need to have this many beds full, right? I only need to have 5 beds full to cover all my expenses or whatever the case may be. But we're going to have 16, right? Like I'm going to go through all these different numbers and I'm going to show them that this is a home run of a deal. And if you want to be part of this deal, if you know, like, and trust me, and you think there's a problem in assisted living and you like my solution, let's talk about that. So let's talk a bit about deal structure, because if someone's interested, they want to know how we're going to do this. So let's talk about how we can do this. I'll share 2 ways with you that I've done to raise money. I raise money with debt. That means I borrowed money, right? I have to pay it back, and I'm paying them interest. Now I own 100% of the building, and the operations company would do that. Or I've raised money with equity, where you actually are giving away part of the business, right? You're trading that money for part of that. So both of these ways I've done it, and I did not use my own money on it. Now, I'm not saying that this is like one of those, like you're guaranteed to never use your own money. I did use my own money, but then I got it back when I refinanced. So there's a great way, and I guess I'll go into some solutions of how you can do this with very little or no money. All right, let's talk about raising money with debt. This building here, Platinum Resort in Georgetown, my first assisted living, I raised 1.1 million. So that was to buy the house. I did a huge addition that included the FF&E, the furniture, the fixtures, and the equipment. It also included about $100,000 worth of holding costs, insurance, interest, that kind of stuff. So I raised the entire thing. Now I'm going to refer to that as the gap. Okay, the difference between what you get from either your lender or the bank, and then the difference. The difference is the gap, right? Here's what I need. Here's what the bank give me. I have this much space in the middle. That's my gap. So I'm trying to raise that gap. Okay, so this is what I did. Here's how this breaks down. With this type of deal, I raised it again with debt, which means that I own 100% of the business, of the real estate and the operations company, right? Which is an advantage. Everyone wants to own that. That's one of the pros, but there's also cons. So you can do this with the bank or you can do it without. On this deal, I actually raised money without a bank. The first lender, he lended a majority of the money, and he actually did it from his retirement account, from his IRA, right? So we did a loan together, secured his loan to the real property. Then I have my gap funds that I need. The rest of the money, plus the money for the furniture, plus I'm not stabilized yet, so I need money for the expenses, utilities, and taxes, and all that kind of stuff, right? So for me to do that, to raise that gap money, I use something that I call the participating loan agreement. This is what my attorney drew up for me, and it's a simple document that it's really 2 parts in nature. One is it's a loan, right? It's a note and trust deed against the real property, and it's also a profit sharing agreement. Now, you don't know what a profit sharing agreement is. You're essentially on the operations company. You're going to share part of the profit. So I put these 2 things together here, and what I did on this specific example, I did a 5 and 5, where I paid 5% interest on the loan, right? So they loaned me money. They had it collateralized against the building. They got a guaranteed 5% money.
At the time you did that, what was a conventional interest rate if you'd borrowed money?
This was like 4 years ago, so it was low. It was like in the threes or something. Yeah. But, so I'm gonna go back to the two things that people want if they're gonna invest money. They want to know their money is safe. So their money is tied to the property. If I die, they can foreclose, take the building, right? Their money is safe and they're gonna have a fixed guaranteed interest, right? I give them the first 5. That's guaranteed no matter what, he's gonna get it. Then I did the other 5 with the participating loan agreement. That the profit sharing part allowed me to, once the operations company was up and running, we were bringing in money. He was getting 5% of that. Now, this is really important while you have your financials dialed in. I was able to show him on these things. Hey, here's my projections. Here's what we're looking at. Here's what my net profit's going to be, and you're going to make this on your profit sharing agreement. And it actually ended up being about 17% ROI. So you got your fixed 5% plus 17% ROI in this other deal. So I structured this specifically because I want these two things for my investor. Money is safe and great return. Now, fast forward in the story, this building here, after I owned it for about 24 months, I went to a local bank and it was not SBA. What's up?
Yeah, there though. So in your experience, so this would be an angel investor. In your experience, about what kind of return do I need to be able to promise, or would an angel investor expect?
Yeah, so I like, most people want equity. They will always ask for equity. And we'll get to that next. But in this type of deal, the way I was structuring it, it didn't make sense to do the equity. So I gave the profit sharing agreement. And I think something like that, I mean, interest rates have gone up. So maybe it's more like a 7 and 7 or like 8 and 8, something to that effect. You're going to get this much return guaranteed, plus you're going to have this profit sharing agreement. Now, give me like another 30 seconds and I'll explain why this is a bigger win than what I've said so far for this investor. So I refinanced this property out after about 24 months. I went to my local bank. They gave me a new loan for 1.1 million. So I paid off the guy's IRA. I paid off the gentleman we were just talking about who did the gap money, right? So everyone's got their money back. I have a new loan with the local bank. But what I did was I allowed, or I put this in the terms, the person who funded the gap, they had the profit sharing agreement. They're going to get the second 5 indefinitely while I own the operating company, right? If I haven't sold it yet, every month they got their money back already. They have 0 risk on them anymore, right? But they're going to get 5% of the operating agreement or 5% of the operations company every single month, right? So we structured that. It's been years. So he's still getting that money. Now, where this can be a great win-win and an easy way for you to explain this, why this is a win for them, is you can be like, hey, okay, we're looking to refinance after this amount of time. You're gonna get all your money back. Plus, you're gonna keep getting this. You can call 5, 6, 7%, whatever you want of this deal. You'll keep getting it indefinitely while I own it, and then you can reinvest with me again, right? We're gonna keep growing. We're gonna do this again. We can do this again, and let's fast forward another 2 or 3 years. You get your money back now. Now you have 2 deals where you're cash flowing both of these deals indefinitely while I own the operations company. And you can just say this can be a revolving door where you're going to have passive income. So this was a win for my investor. I've also done this in a few different other kind of deals, and people really like this structure. So let's talk about the next option: raising money with equity. Right. So right off the bat, there's pros and cons. Right off the bat, you have to give away equity, which is a con. But from a pro side, it's much easier to do a bigger deal. Now, I said it earlier, I don't like these small little assisted livings. They're a ton of work. When you do a bigger deal, you're insulated with staffing. You have multiple managers, you have a chef, you have a director, you can hire all these people. You can actually spend way less time there and make more money by doing a bigger deal. So I would rather be part of a bigger deal. This is the neighborhood that we're building out. Again, we raised 2.3 million per building. It's going to be about 9. I'm not using any of my own money in this, but I did bring on an equity partner. So let's talk about that. Okay, the important thing to mention right off the bat is when you're looking at something like this, you actually have 2 separate companies, right? Which means that you have 2 separate deals. And a lot of times people are they kind of jump the gun and they say, oh, okay, well, if we're going to partner together, we'll partner in this company and this company with the same percentage. It does not have to be the same percentage, right? Let's just throw 50-50 out there. You don't have to do 50-50, but let's just use an example. If you went 50-50 on the real estate, some people may say, oh, we'll also go 50-50 in the operations. You don't have to. You can structure it however you like. So let me kind of work through that of where the advantages and disadvantages are through these two different companies. If you want to go and build something and it's gonna be, say, $1 million, okay? You talk to Shep, he's gonna give you 80 or 90%, whatever it is, right? Let's just say you need an extra 200,000 for your down payment. Plus you got your fixtures and furniture and all that kind of stuff, say it's 100 grand. Plus you have another 100 grand of expenses of interest and holding costs and utilities and taxes, right? You're trying to raise an extra 400 grand, that's your gap, okay? That money, if you want your investor to invest that money, you're gonna be trading equity for it. So let's talk through, on the real estate company, there is a legitimate risk to the investor. They are putting up this capital, and when you're under construction or while you are building, there's a legitimate risk where their money is against collateral that is not finished. Permits are not done, you can't really sell it, it's not making any money, it's not stabilized. But once that product becomes stabilized, the risk is very limited for the real estate person. Okay, so they may have to personally guarantee this loan. You may also have to personally guarantee this loan. So there is a more favorable cut that I think you should give to this type of the deal on the real estate side. Now, there is also an equity build play in the real estate, right? When you're gonna build this, it'll take you a year or so to build it. Now, I mean, you fast forward, like I built this first building I talked about, 1.1 million. It's multiple times the value of that now, right? It's only been a couple years. So there's a huge equity play to be made here. And that would be for this investor. They're going to get a big cut of that. But I think that, it doesn't have to be 50-50. Maybe it's a smidge more towards them, but I do think that overall they should be rewarded properly for the risk they're taking on. But after you become stabilized, after the property's done, that risk does decrease substantially. And now the risk moves over to the operations company. Now there is some risk as far as money, as far as the operations company, but the biggest risk is time. If you are an owner operator, the biggest risk is time. You are going to be there probably every day for the first year. If anyone told you that assisted living is easy, they lied to you. There is nothing easy about this industry. It is as rewarding as it is difficult. They're both very high. But you as the operator, you may have to cover shifts. You may have to wipe butts. You may have to do things that you promised yourself you would never do. My wife promised that she would never wipe butts, and she's done a lot of it. So it is a real thing. Don't let people blow smoke. You need to be compensated for the hard work that it is to operate a company. So there is a big cash flow play here. Now, again, this is kind of my thing here. I just really dislike these small ones. I think you struggle to make any money on them. But when you do a high-end 16, you can make great money, right? There's a big deal. There's a big pie to be able to cut up with cash flow for one of these 16s that you can do here in Texas. So there's a huge reward for the operator, right? And I think that proportionately, that reward should go to the operator from the operations company and not as much to the investor partner, right? So here the theme is bigger reward on the real estate company, bigger reward on the operations company if you're the operator, right? So it doesn't have to be 50-50 in these kind of things. One thing to consider is on the operations company, you may pay yourself a salary. You may and maybe have a more level split if you didn't pay yourself a salary, but if you didn't, maybe you just have a bigger percentage, right? Maybe you're taking 70% or 75 or 80. I'm not sure what you want to do. You can structure it however you want. They also, the investor partner in the real estate, they'll be on the LLC for that. They do not have to be on the LLC for the operating company. It can be a profit sharing agreement. So you can structure this however you want, but just keep in mind they are two separate entities, two separate businesses, and you don't have to be the same on both these things. All right, let's talk about your offer. Okay, you're sitting at the table, you've gone through the presentation, they're really liking what you're offering, and you know kind of how you want to structure this. Let's talk about it. How do I want to structure this? I think of this as bracketing. Okay, it's two sides. It's almost like two guardrails. So on one side is my non-negotiables. It's the things that no matter what, I will not do. Okay, let me give you an example. I will not raise too little amount of money. If you're having a meeting and someone says, I love this, Brett, I want in, this is for me, I have $10,000, sign me up. I can't take $10,000, right? Like I'm trying to raise 400 grand. Like I don't need 10,000, that's just a waste of my time. Too little money I will not do. Or giving up control of the company. They say, hey, I want I want 51% voting right or something like that. I'm not gonna do that. Or too high of equity or too high of interest, right? I won't do that. So know what's your bracket on one side, right? I will not go past this part. Now on the other side is my best case scenario, right? If I had a magic wand and I'm doing a deal where it's $1 million and Shep's gonna give me 80% of that, and I need to raise an extra 400 to get me the whole way to cover my gap, my magic wand would say, hey, I need 400 grand and I paid this much interest or I paid this much equity. I'd raise the money in 60 days and I'd have it for 5 years, right? That would be my best case scenario. So as I'm sitting at the table, coffee table with them, and I'm getting ready to transition. Okay, I got time. I'm gonna again ask permission, right? I'm not trying to be pushy. I'm not trying to be car salesman. I finished going through my 3 phases here. I'm finishing up this one, and I'm gonna say, hey, so what are your thoughts on this? Do you like this? Do you want to hear more? Do you want to talk about like actually in detail, like how it would look if we work together? And I'm gonna give them the opportunity to say no, right? I'm not gonna be pushy. If they want to say no, great, all right, no problem. Or they may say, yes, I am, but I want my partner there, I want my wife there, I want my husband there, right? We may have to schedule this another time. Or they may just say, yeah, tell me about this. I love this, Brett. Like, I've been waiting for this kind of opportunity, right? And you'll be surprised how many people love this opportunity because every person has a mom or a dad that was most likely, or some family member mistreated in some big smelly facility. So I've asked permission and then I'm moving on to my offer in this presentation, okay? So what I want to do is I want to start with my best case scenario. That's where I'm going to start. That's my best case scenario. I'm going to start there. I'm not going to start with my worst offer, right? I'm not going to like kind of pigeonhole myself. I'm going to start with my best. And the way that I feel comfortable doing it, I like using this word track of if I had a magic wand, because I don't want to seem like, oh, he's asking for way too much. This is a magic wand scenario, right? If I had a magic wand, this would be it. So it's not going to be like, oh, he's asking for too much. He's greedy, right? This is my magic wand word track. Okay, I'll say something like, we'll go back to this deal. Hey, you know, if we were to structure this, I would want kind of this. If I had a magic wand, I would want to raise 400,000 and you know, have it ready in the next couple months. Go to the bank and raise 800,000 from the bank, and you know, get this deal started. You know, we look to refinance in about 3 or 5 years, and you get all your money back. And I would offer such and such percent equity, right? That would be what I'd say. And then you know what I would do? Nothing. I wouldn't say anything. You got to be quiet. You give your best case scenario, and then you say nothing, and you let them talk. You're waiting for them to talk. You don't start be like, well, okay, how about this percent, or what about this percent? What if I throw in this, right? Like, don't negotiate against yourself. Give your best case scenario. You said it was a magic wand, so it's okay. And then just wait and see what they have to say. But now the big thing here is you've already bracketed, right? You've done your homework prior to coming to the meeting. You know your best case and you know your worst case. You have now an option to negotiate, and you're within your bracket, and you've already decided, okay, I can't do this and I'd love this. So somewhere in here, we can make a deal together. So that is how I structure my presentation. And I like to keep it very practical. So if you need help with something like this, I know John and Torch have resources for this. I have resources on my website at www.palm.university. Palm is Platinum's Assisted Living Mansion. So we have a bunch of free documents, free training videos. You can also follow us on YouTube. We do a bunch of stuff on raising money, on new construction, on your business plan. I know both of us have a business plan that we can help you with, the same with financials. It is super, super important to have someone who is in Texas and who is actually doing the business. In the last 2 years with inflation, every single number has changed so dramatically. Expenses, some of them had doubled or tripled, but income has gone sky high also. So it's very important to know who's actually doing it, have someone help you with it, who's in Texas and who's doing this type of industry now. Palm.university, or you can email me, Brett@palm.university. And yeah, I think you need to have the tools and you need to have the training in this. And otherwise, it is possible everyone can get the deal done. Every single expert starts with nothing. Everyone starts with like, I don't know what to do, and I'm just take action, massive action. Don't be afraid to invest in your future and yourself.